Welcome to the Defence Connect podcast, Australia's leading voice in national security and defence industry intelligence, direct from the nation's top policy and business experts.
Welcome back to the Defence Connect podcast. You've got senior journalist Robert Dougherty here, and we've got a guest straight from the halls of ADIA, the Australian Defence Industry Awards. It's the Rising Star of the Year from ADIA, Gitarth Vaishnav. Gitarth is an AI software engineer in the sensor fusion team with DroneShield. He graduated from the University of Technology, Sydney in 2023 with a Bachelor of Computing Science honours and a major in Artificial Intelligence and Data Analytics. He has a keen interest in technology, programming, microcontrollers, and was awarded the Undergraduate Academic Excellence Scholarship in 2019. He is the ADIA Rising Star. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Rob.
How was it on the night? I know this is sort of it's a cliche question, but you're sitting there, you're at the table with the rest of your DroneShield buddies, and your name comes up on the selection panel, and then it goes all the way through and is announced by the presenter. What were your thoughts on being recognised and being acknowledged by the entire defence industry on the night?
It was good. It was full of thrill, excitement, because we were not really expecting anything. There were no such expectations. We came in, we saw the announcements, saw the finalists, met a lot of finalists as well, a lot of industry leadership in defense industry, a lot of people from military, and it was very insightful to have met a lot of people, explain what we do, and also essentially understand what their perspective for DroneShield is, as well as what we essentially are up to in terms of defense industry and defense. That's pretty cool. And yeah, winning award means a lot to entire DroneShield, because it not only proves me and my efforts, but also entire team effort of DroneShield to make products and innovate harder and faster with rapid growing counter-drone market and the drone market as well.
What were some of those perspectives you were getting on the night when you were talking to people in the defence
So
industry?
there were a lot of various perspectives about how the defense industry is growing, how our budget is being spent on defense, on counter-drones, how drones growing usage of drones for good and bad purposes both is growing and advancing. So there were various perspectives over that okay, we're spending a lot more money on drones and drones are being more smarter, more advanced. How are we dealing with countering them, and whether there is any challenges to us and so on and so forth.
I know you mentioned there that, it was one of the wins that DroneShield had on the night. You guys had a clean sweep. I mean, you won 3 awards. What was that like, being like, we came, we saw, and we conquered at ADIA?
Was really good, fantastic. It just proves one thing, that the entire DroneShield team, from production, sales, finance, tech, and operations, everyone, including sales, every single person involved in the DroneShields ecosystem is working hard, is innovating, and it is a testament to everyone's hard work.
And just as a software engineer at DroneShield, what's it been like, the personal journey you've had? Obviously, you were at the Australian AI Awards in 2024. You had a win there in the Rising Star of the Year. What's it been like, trying to get the most out of your career at DroneShield and being an up-and-coming engineer in the defence industry?
Well, at DroneShield, it is always a continuous learning journey. You keep getting new crazy ideas, new challenges throughout. You get to meet a lot of new people. We're scaling up, so we're also hiring a lot of new talent, so we get to learn from others as well. And also keep getting new repeat orders, new challenges from new customers, saying that, we want this new thing to happen, and we have this new challenge you need to solve. And that is what keeps the car driving, essentially, at DroneShield, which is really good. I love challenges, and I keep getting challenges, and that is what it is.
In terms of, we don't often get to talk to engineers who are basically, in the mechanic workshops, on the tech floors, working on the actual products and research. What is that transition like from the crazy idea? I imagine it goes through some theory and then prototyping and then goes into, production. How does that process work exactly?
So the process is simply you get an idea, check if that is our own idea. Sometimes it's our ideas, which are not always good from a user perspective or a business standpoint. Essentially, whether does it add value to the end user? That is the motto. If it doesn't add value to the end user, but engineer thinks it's a crazy idea, it doesn't really make sense to have it in the product.
Yep.
So we think the first question is, does it add any value to any of our user groups? We have multiple user groups. There's civilian groups, there's military groups, there's something in the middle of that. So we think about which user group this essentially adds value to, at what level. Then if it passes all of those sanity checks, then we move ahead and collect more requirements from the stakeholders themselves, people who are our customers, our dealers.
So you have a pitch in mind. You have to pitch it to make sure it will be profitable. Is that right?
Not really to make it profitable, but in a way to add value to the customer. So we ask whether... If, for example, if you're the customer, you'd be asked, okay, this is something we're thinking to have. Would it add value? Or if it is directly coming from you, we would say, okay, let me think about it. We'll decide, we'll see if that is feasible. And then we will tell them that, yeah, this is feasible probably in the next 3 to 6 months. Or if that's longer, next year, you might see something coming up in the systems for you. And then we go do some requirements gathering around it, derive some specifics of it, connect all the teams that are needed to get that feature or product out.
Yep.
And then essentially development begins. There's prototyping, there's failures, there's success, there's learnings out of that. Once we have a prototype, we convert it to a minimum viable product, which we can essentially start rolling out to get some beta testing done. And once that is done, we essentially scale it, make it mature, release it for the customer who's asked for it. Or if we've developed it, we release it for all the customers eventually.
I think one aspect of this is that people don't understand there's quite a lot of work that goes into making, for in this case, a counter-drone product, that it takes a long time probably to get to that point. How big is that prototyping process? How many do you have to go through successes and failures to actually have something that's minimum viable capability? It's
interesting. It actually depends on the feature or product we're developing. Depends on how complex that is, how crazy that is, essentially how challenging that is. If it is not really challenging, not super complex, something like a new additional feature probably will be there in the next release, next quarterly or half-yearly release. Because what happens is prototyping is the key to development. It depends on how many moving parts it touches in terms of software or in terms of hardware. So it all depends on the complexity. However, we try to make it as fast as possible, as agile as possible. We fail first, learn, and then continue. So we don't wait to make a full prototype. We have components. We divide the tasks into parts, try and figure out what is feasible, what is not. And then essentially make multiple prototypes and then go ahead with the best one, which is best in terms of software, hardware, whatever specifics there are.
Yeah, I think... it sounds like, I guess an example would be the new iPhone. Like if you're making an old iPhone and you make the newest version, you're probably not changing that much. But if you have to make that iPhone from scratch, that sounds like it's a long prototype. Right?
Exactly.
Right. Just in your own experience, what is that? What is your own philosophy in terms of how you go about your work yourself? Do you undertake outside study as well? Are you building your main projects that you're assigned to with DroneShield, but you maybe have a side project you work on as well? What is your philosophy of learning on the job and personal growth?
Well, learning is the key to success here. Every new challenge poses a requirement to learn something new, whether it is software, whether it's a new programming language, or it's a new AI, probably research or research paper to study, to understand how certain things could work and how can I apply it to my new feature or something. Another philosophy I have is, even if I have some free time, I spend it for DroneShield, think about what additional new features I could add which adds value to the user, how I can add advancing AI into my current product suite and whatnot. Personally speaking, I am also very keen on doing an industry PhD with DroneShield on something which is very, very new. We're trying to figure out an advanced way, or next generation, I would say, for sensor fusion. And that is the software or piece of code which essentially combines data from multiple sensors we have. And as drone capabilities are increasing, different sensor capabilities are also increasing. So lots and lots of new sensors in the market. There's people who build custom sensors. Essentially, let's assume any various clients could make their own sensors, and we would want to be able to accept information from any given sensor and let the customer plug and play their sensors into the system. And that is kind of easy to say on paper that, yeah, you can plug and play a sensor and then it works. You have counter-drone system ready. But it takes a lot to get to that stage where you can essentially plug and play any given sensor and it is going to work flawlessly. It is going to track number of targets concurrently. There's a lot which goes into it, and I'd like to research on a next generation project of that very system, which currently is really, really good, and it is now in the scalability phase. But as I said, drone market is growing very fast. Counter-drone needs to keep up with that. So we also would want to keep up that, okay, now one thing is scaling up. We also think about what's going to happen in the next 2 years to that. And we'll essentially have a backup plan ready to upgrade it to the next generation before even the need arises.
That sounds like a good idea. You know, there's a market there as you get to the next one. It sounds like a bit like a connector. Well, the ultimate connector, in that you're connecting all of your sensors, your photography, into a platform that will then dissect it and give you a result at the end. In terms of, I noticed that you were talking about, the technology that moves along quite quickly of drones. How can people in the industry, particularly in defense industry, stay with that level of technology? Because, obviously you're DroneShield, you're working in a software space. That software, I imagine, is upgrading exponentially each year. How do you stay ahead of, I guess, the curve in terms of, that coding, but also that sort of, engineer requirements as well?
Well, DroneShield also does a lot of hardware. We build sensors, which are radio frequency sensors, to detect drones at various levels. There's handheld sensors and there's big sensors which you can place on a fixed site solutions to do surveillance. And we also create hardware to jam it. So the sensors, big sensors that are big jammers, there'd be handheld jammers which essentially jam signals. So we also into the hardware, so we have access to a lot of new drones and their big data library about their signals, how they operate, how they communicate with the controller and whatnot. That is one. And two, about getting up to date and staying up to date with the latest drone knowledge and latest threat is essentially by looking at DroneShield's counter UAS fact book. We just released a new version recently on the website. You can sign up and download the new fact book that essentially has a lot of new information on latest drone threats in the last 1 or 2 years. On the top, latest sort of classification of drones, type of threats, type of sensors we have, how do we detect them, what happens and whatnot. It's very comprehensive fact book. We had one fact book ages ago, and now we have released the latest version. I think we will be releasing more and more as soon as there's updates in the market around drones.
It sounds like there's almost, when in defence we talk about this sword and shield, one triumphing over the other and then the other catches up. It sounds like DroneShield has their own little mini sword and shield in the compound. They're able to use jamming equipment and then use a better drone to see if they can beat it and that sort of thing. And there's a practical element there that I think, is that right?
Well, we don't build drones, so we may not have access to a lot of drones in the market. We do have some, but some of them are not available for us. For example, if someone is building a custom drone, it is not going to be available to us. So what we have to do is get data from whatever sources it is available.
Yeah.
So we'll have to make our AI essentially work with missing data or to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of improvements happening on that side that, okay, you can't get drones maybe, or you can't get data from the customers for data privacy reasons. Is there a way you can essentially do it in a smarter way by letting the user decide this thing is something I want to detect, I want to defeat, maybe do it in a smarter way. So yeah, there's ways to do all sorts of smart things with software and AI and hardware, because you have your own hardware, you know how you can get the signals. You have your own software, you know how you can process it. So there's full leverage on what happens if you don't have data. So there's a lot of advancements now we're doing, because we know there's heaps of drones in the market. We can only get access to majority of them, but there's still 1 or 2% of drones which we may not have access to, or we may miss. And we would still want to be able to detect them and potentially also defeat them.
Okay.
And so we work on that side as well.
Yeah. On that note, we'll go to a quick ad break. And when we come back, we'll be talking about some personal challenges and triumphs you've had along the way. Welcome back to the Defence Connect podcast. You've got senior journalist Robert Dougherty here and Gitarth Vaishnav from DroneShield. We were talking previously, just before the break, about some of those personal triumphs you've had and challenges along the way in your career. Just explore some of them for us, if you will. Yeah.
So personal triumphs starting from university, let's say. I got the academic scholarship before I started university using my high school grades.
This is a funding to study, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a funding to cut off some of my fees. Well, that was one. Next, I landed in Australia, started studying. I got opportunities to also start tutoring computer labs in various subjects as a part of my very good and commendable academic excellence during my university's first year.
Yep.
And then after that, I also started getting some projects from industry through my professors. And I became a part of the Intelligent Drone Lab at UTS run by Professor Nabin Sharma. And that lab essentially was one of the turning points of my academic career, because I got access to a lot of knowledge base, a lot of researchers working on drone and counter drone both, because it's Intelligent Drone Lab. So you work on making drones smarter, and you also work on probably...
You found something you were sort of quite interested in.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And then that is where I got to do a project for search and rescue. So we call it Aerial Search and Rescue System. It was a group project from DFAT, and I volunteered in the project to develop the AI and the graphical user interface of that multi-drone aerial search and rescue system, where drones fly and go around and find people or boats during flood. And detect them and send a notification to the operator to send a rescue drone to send rescue pods.
That sounds very useful. Yeah, it sounds great.
It was, I think, a part of DFAT program for OSFO Innovation for Vietnam. And I think the whole team received I awards in 2024 for NSW State in 2 categories.
Wow.
government and public sector and not-for-profit and charity. So it was pretty good that project also led to an award. And then I got a university medal for doing a really good honors thesis for DroneShield and while being a student at UTS. And then I joined DroneShield into June 2023. I was an intern before while doing the project. After that, in 2024, around November, I got the AI Rising Star of the Year award. And recently I got the Defense Industry Award for Rising Star of the Year, which is pretty good. It's been a good track record. Well, awards do not really sort of make a big chunk of my excellence record. What I feel is that learning, innovating, and achieving those objectives, fulfilling those crazy ideas from customers or from the leadership matters more. If I learn something, if I apply it and innovate something which essentially gives back to the entire community in any way, being able to serve to the community in defense or in commercial sector, it is good. I also mentor some early career professionals and students, as well as speak at various events delivering knowledge about ethical AI and defense, which is also a part of giving back to the community.
Yes.
So that is what matters to me. As long as I can give back to the community, innovate, and help them, those are my major achievements more than the awards and allocates, because they essentially validate that what you did is good. And the other ones essentially let you deliver knowledge and make a lot more people aware of what is happening in the world and what all we could do.
Yes, yeah. It sounds like a great run of wins there, along the way. I noticed as well, there was that period of time where you said you were an intern with DroneShield. How did that come about? Was that something where you reached out to DroneShield, or was it them sort of saying, well, this guy's pretty good, he's mentoring at UTS, maybe we should grab him? How did that come about?
So UTS used to run AI showcase back then in 2022, 2021. I mean, it's been there for every year. I did a subject called deep learning, learned somewhat about computer vision, developed a project during that subject for airport security to detect prohibited items in X-ray images of luggage to help the operator essentially get more situational awareness about if they're missing anything in the luggage scans to reduce the pass-through rate of prohibited items.
Was that based on the shape of contraband that's going in there, so guns, knives and things, or was it a metallurgical volume?
Well, it was image-based. However, because X-ray images return multiple channels, you also understand some factors about metallurgy, some factors about what organic or inorganic compound it is. So fruits would have different color than metal, and then metal would have different colors than plastic because they reflect the waves in a different format.
Yes,
And so that is why essentially you could have some aspect of that, but not entirely that. Would be an image, a multicolored image. And then it would use the shapes and size to determine whether that's a contraband or not, using various AI algorithms. And that is something that I presented to various industry panelists, visitors, judges, and professionals. And then eventually I also got to attend the keynote by Angus Bean, the Chief Technology Officer of DroneShield at that time, and currently as well. And also another seminar from Carl Norman, who was the Vice President at that time as well.
Did they make a big impression on you? Were you thinking this is a company I'd like to work for?
They did, because at that time I was not aware that there is drones growing up. At that time I was aware that there's drones. We use it to essentially program them as toys to do search and rescue. But I was not aware that at that time, because it was about in 2021 or 2022, not much of drone warfare going on during that time. So there was
Still
lack
early
of
days.
knowledge that
Yeah.
that drones could be this nefarious, and then we have a need to counter them. But after the keynote about drones in defense, drones in counter defense, there's a lot of knowledge gap which they filled in during the keynote, and I went to them and reached out and said that I found this interesting, and then we built a relationship in terms of professionally connecting at various events wherever we used to meet. And eventually when I was about to graduate, 6 months before my graduation in my last semester, I reached out to them again asking for a project. And that is when I essentially got a chance to discuss a project with them, and we did a project on threat analytics.
Okay.
And,
We spoke very briefly just before the podcast about, threat analytics and I think something that sort of escapes most people is that just how fast this sort of analysis has to be done by AI. When you're looking at a drone that could be, as you said, a nefarious drone, how fast does the actual software have to distinguish whether that's a bird or a plane or a drone that might be explosive, I guess?
like tenth of a second,
Yeah.
milliseconds. That's it. Should be way faster than you blink your eye. And then it should essentially keep doing that throughout until we decide, or the operator decides how to deal with that drone in their own standard operating procedure.
I mean, that's just amazing from a defense point of view. That is just to have that ability to distinguish, but also the importance of having a system to do that is amazing.
Yeah.
When we'll just go to a quick ad break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about some of the mentors that inspired you along the way. Welcome back to the Defence Connect podcast. You've got senior journalist Robert Dougherty, and we've got Gitarth from the DroneShield AI software engineering team. This is the second floor of the DroneShield building. So production and then engineering. Some of the mentors that inspired you along the way or supported you along the way, who are they?
So starting from education, it was Professor Nabin Sharma, who was the co-director of the Intelligent Drone Lab, who essentially founded the AI Showcase, which led me to connect with a lot of industry professionals in
a critical point.
Various industries in AI, from banking to legal, finance, and also defense, where I currently work. So that was pretty good. I also got chances to sort of lead a Google Developer Student Club. So all the mentors in the Google Developer Group were very influential in there and instrumental. Following which, I started working at DroneShield, and that is where, to guide me through, it was the AI lead at DroneShield, Guillaume.
Okay.
And Angus Bean, of course. He's now the Chief Product and Technology Officer of DroneShield. And he almost spends a lot of time on the entire team and with the entire team to make sure that whatever we decide to deliver, we deliver it and we do it properly, and make sure that DroneShield has the best products and best product suite for counter drone around the world.
Okay.
So he's been a great mentor.
And some of the projects for later on in the year, what are your plans for the remainder of the year and beyond?
Well, the remainder of the year, there's a lot to happen. There's been the recent announcement from the minister in Queensland, where he said there's a lot to happen in counter drone space, budgets. So we're still looking forward to a lot of announcements. On the top of that, there is a lot of new products we launched. We recently launched Sentry SE, which is a product for civilians.
Yes,
to detect drones, track drones.
It's a subscription base. That's right. Yeah.
So,
and for you personally, what do you find for the rest of the year? Are you Are you going to stay with DroneShield and sort of pursue more counter-drone tech, or what do you plan to do?
Of course, yeah. DroneShield is an integral part of my career. At this stage, I am going to continue with DroneShield and probably for a longer period of time because crazy ideas haven't really saturated yet. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of challenges. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting way forward because this was just the start. Everyone has captured all low-hanging fruits. Now it's the time to shine. And now is where if someone survives now in the counter-drone space as well as in the new emerging uncrewed system space where there's uncrewed ground vehicles, uncrewed surface vessels, underwater uncrewed vessels. There's a lot of other uncrewed systems except drones, which would also need similar multi-layered defense solution. And because we are well ahead and well modular around counter-drones, we are very well positioned to also tackle and enter into those markets.
Yes.
And that is the future, and it is essentially going to be challenging, but also really exciting to do that.
I wonder what that future might look like if you have, the proliferation of aerial drones in places like Ukraine. If you had that on land and on sea, wow, that is a different world entirely. Yeah. That I think that covers everything for the podcast. We thank you for coming on, and we hope to see more news out of DroneShield soon. They've certainly had a run of contract wins. You've had some personal success at the ADIA Awards as well. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.